We're back. It's another week and it's the Giver podcast. And today we have my
podcast. This is the IAIN podcast.
It will turn into that. You get us the most views anyway. So we have my lovely husband, Ian, here, and we're going to fuck around a little bit.
Oh, sounds sexual.
Oh my God. That's behind a paid platform.
Link in bio.
We're going to try something a little different. I feel like Ian and I have kind of been consuming light, silly content, and it's something that we've really been enjoying. And I feel like we also like to talk shit about it while we're listening to it. So we figured, why don't we talk some shit and record it and give it to you guys?
Yeah, sure.
That's accurate, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you.
What? But we're in our home. Welcome to our humble abode. And we're going to hang out and talk some shit. I have actually a few, I haven't even told you about them. It's called Ditch It or Fix It.
Okay.
And then it's called Smash or Pass.
I know what that is.
Of course. And then we're going to do some Reddit stories.
Yeah.
So I feel like 3 little segments of
Sure. Sounds fun.
debauchery.
Sounds fun. I'm excited.
Do you have anything you want to share to the ladies?
Is there something I should be sharing?
I don't know. A little life update.
No, I don't think so. I mean, this is your podcast. What update do you want me to give?
How's your heart?
My heart? Did you say I'm having heart issues on the podcast or something?
No, a podcast that I listen to sometimes, he used to always start with every guest and say, how's your heart? And I'm pretty sure he got ripped apart for being
It's a weird question.
yeah, because everyone they would be like, what?
They interpret it differently.
For sure. Because what does that mean?
How is my heart, physically, or is it
Well, yeah, it's
metaphorical?
I'm healthy. Just got some blood work done. Cholesterol's good.
My heart's great. Ticker's good.
He obviously is wanting people to talk about how they're feeling lately in their lives.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever heard someone hear him ask that and be like,
that knew exactly what he meant by it right away.
Yeah. But
I mean, if you're asking that question continuously on a podcast and getting a confused response, it might be time to change your prompt.
He did. He did pivot. So respect to him. But yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Life's good.
Yeah. I mean, been keeping busy with a few different projects I've been working on. Obviously, about, the app I've been working on, another one that I won't talk about yet, but a couple other things that are, fun and exciting for the future. So it's, it's a time of transition in my life out of bodybuilding still, but it's, learning to find different things to fill that time and energy and purpose, Yeah.
Do you find you have more energy?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, obviously when you're not eating the quantity that I was, and not so stuck to that, got to stay up and get as many meals. So some days I'd stay up, ruin my sleep, or I'd be napping during the day, or my quality of sleep wasn't as good. And, those kind of things, it really does take an impact over time. So, yeah, I mean, my energy is definitely exponentially higher than it was.
It's kind of hard because now you have this uptick in energy, which is it's you get used to something and then you get an uptick of energy. So it feels like way more. Mm-hmm. And then the outlet that your energy was being used for is gone. So it's hard.
Yeah. In some regards, yes, I understand what you're saying. Because the outlet isn't gone. I mean, the outlet, I still train the same every single day. I'm not training any less hard. I still work out the same amount of days for probably actually longer than I train that. Because I'm less over analyzing everything in my training. So I just go in, stay there and train with my partner as long as it feels fun, I'm not worrying about well, I've been here too long or this or shit, I only should do 6 sets, 10 sets, it's I'm not really worrying about it. I'm just doing it completely for pure enjoyment and still because I love the challenge of training. So that aspect hasn't changed at all. It's more of the surrounding, the things around it, the food, the sleep, all these things, which are the biggest impact, but those things are then energy that's been created to do other things that when I was competing, I felt I had no room for anything other than the training.
Yeah.
It was the little bit of energy I did have, I needed to save and allocate only to the training because it was so important. Now it's I feel I have that energy to still train, but I also have energy to do other things if I want to,
Yeah, it's interesting because most professional athletes, I feel like when they're in the prime of their athletic career, they don't really have to consider setting themselves up for business later in life. Whereas bodybuilders, you it's smart to do so, but you also don't really have.
I'll disagree with you on that because I think every single sport you have to. I think whether you're an NFL player, NBA player, whatever, it's like that money isn't forever. And I don't think, and I think you would be very surprised to see that no matter what they're making during their career, it's not enough money to like set you up for the rest of your life after. You know, I mean, these are guys that are buying expensive homes and own expensive cars and they have expensive bills. You know, you create a lifestyle around that that's very hard to maintain without that income. So you do need something to maintain that afterwards. You know, I think bodybuilding is the exact same as all of them. It's just on a lesser scale for most in terms of the pay. And it's a little different in that all of our pay is basically coming from endorsements. We're not like, you know, paid through the team or like anything like that, you know?
Yeah, no, I understand that. But let's be serious. If you're like an NBA player or an MLB player and you're making $5 million a year, if you invest properly over the span of your 5 to 10 year career, you can probably be quite set up. Maybe not to live lavishly like some of these athletes do, but like bodybuilders aren't making contracts that are $5 million a year.
No, not many, that's for sure. No, I understand what you're saying, but I think then the lifestyle that's created before that is adjusted accordingly. Like you know, if you buy a $9 million house, you have $9 million house bills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got property taxes, you have potentially a mortgage, you know, all these things of a house that's that size, you know?
Yeah.
And look, I know for a fact, and look, it's obviously because of poor foresight or planning, but tons of guys that play in professional sports like that end up like going broke and filing for bankruptcy and stuff like that if you don't plan accordingly. So I think all of it, for any of it, obviously it is different, yes, because the money is more, but I think for any of them, you need to be, you know, mindful of the life after your career because it isn't obviously forever. And if anything, in bodybuilding, you get a little more years. You know, like you could bodybuild into your 40s, where playing in the NHL or NFL or something like that when you're 40 is much, much more uncommon, you know? Yeah. So I think there is a little more time limiting on some of those elite sports like that. But I think either of them, you need to be mindful. And I think, and the guys, you'll see it. I mean, either whether they go into commentating, you know, doing like ESPN stuff, or if they're doing, you know, making products or doing endorsement stuff after, whatever it is. I think most of these guys, you know, realize that they need to continue to make money.
Yeah,
I also think from just like what we were talking about, a purpose standpoint, like you're done playing hockey at 28. Like, you're going to be bored as shit.
Of course. You know? I'm not saying that the professional athletes retire and then they do nothing. I'm saying you almost have to be a little bit more entrepreneurial as a bodybuilder. Because like you're not going to go be an ESPN broadcaster and make a lot of money. You're not going to go coach college football. Like there's less obvious routes of success after. And I think you see a lot more like entrepreneurial, starting businesses, starting apps, starting supplement companies, starting their own coaching businesses. Well, that's actually kind of rare from like successful bodybuilders, but
yeah, because being a good bodybuilder doesn't necessarily mean you can coach. So it's not necessarily, it's just like in any of that, you know, you'll get guys that were hockey players that end up going into that side of, you know, coaching, or you know, guys that are, you know, head coaches on NHL teams or on, you know, basketball teams that were really good players, you know, the Steve Nashes of the world and these kind of guys. So I think there is still lots of those players, but no, I think in bodybuilding, you definitely have to be mindful of what options you have for yourself after, and what like your suits kind of lie in. If you are a guy that, you know, coaching is an avenue, then I think
knowing your strengths.
Yeah, knowing your strengths, you know. But if not, like, you know, you need to think of like, okay, what am I going to do in this time, and to support myself after bodybuilding is done, for sure. Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking it's a hard thing to think about when you're in it, because it takes so much time and mental focus and energy when you're in it.
Yeah, no, and look, I agree with that. And even for myself, I wish I'd done more of it while I was competing. I'm happy with the place I'm in now, and you know, you figure it all out, and you know, I'm very grateful, you know, for the opportunities that I have still, and you know, the roads and avenues that I have at my disposal. But I mean, going back, like if I would have thought of what I wanted to do more, so that when the time comes, you're like more prepared for it, of like, okay, this is what I'm doing now, instead of like figuring out certain things more as you go, you know?
probably could have allowed for a little bit more presence and a little bit less anxiety during the actual career too,
Sure.
you know?
Sure, yeah.
But I don't know. That's boring. I'm just kidding. It's not boring at all.
No, I think it's a good topic, and I think
It's
anyone that listens to this
important.
that competes will come to that at some point. Even if you're not competing as a top level pro, where that is like your livelihood and how you make your money.
Well, shit, this could actually apply to like young women who are influencers, because
Well, it applies to anything like that. Anything that isn't
that has
that
a
is
time limit on
anything
it.
that is a time limit. Whether that is being an influencer. And I don't think being an influencer is necessarily time limited, but I
No.
think the style of content you create is time limited. And you need to be able to evolve and kind of change and mold, based off of who you are and where you are in your life and what's relevant to you. And, like if you're this kind of content you're making at 18, if you're still making at 30, might get a little,
it won't work.
it won't work,
Yeah.
So you need to change and base off your life and stuff like that. So
Something that I actually really like watching, because obviously it's been years since social media or influencing has been a thing, is watching, I'm going to talk from a female perspective, is actually the women evolve in their content. And then you get to watch them go from young college kids to girls that do makeup, to girls that are renovating a house, to girls that are getting married, to having babies, like it's actually, I don't know, it's cool, the people that are actually able to pivot and share it all.
yeah, no, I think if
it's
you
not
don't,
easy.
you need to, and I think that's one important part of whatever you're doing in the influencing world, to be authentic to yourself and like not trying to like just create one lane for yourself in terms of your content. I think if you let people in and they kind of, know about you and you show your personality, it kind of opens that avenue to like explore other aspects of your life when the time is appropriate.
Yeah, I agree completely. Okay, so do you want to start with ditch it or fix it, or smash or pass?
Let's do ditch it or fix it first. It feels like it's more appropriate after our first conversation there.
Well, ditch it or fix it.
Ditch it or fix it?
fitch it. It's kind of hard to say. I'm like stumbling on myself. It's kind of like, are these non-negotiables in a relationship?
Sure. I kind of figured that's where I was going.
So can you work on this?
Do you ditch it or do you fix it?
Yeah.
Ditch the relationship or fix it?
I mean, shit. I'm actually going to add something. We'll start with what we're listening to this morning
What?
when we drove to the grocery store. You want to live in a specific area. You want to raise your family in a specific area, but your partner wants to live somewhere else. And we're talking over, let's say, 5 hours drive away. Mm-hmm. So do you think this is something that you can fix or compromise on, or do you think it's a deal breaker for the relationship?
Am I speaking only for myself? Like, I think primary to all of these things is obviously like having the talks and the communication and trying to find a compromise. If you can find a compromise where everyone's happy, I think that's obviously the most ideal situation. If you can't, well then, yeah, I mean, it's a personal situation of, is this a non-negotiable for you or is it not? And if for you living close to your family, let's say on one side of that is like a complete non-negotiable, where like, I'm willing to throw away this relationship because I do want to live here and I'm willing to look for a partner that will fit into that criteria. Then you need to be able to pull the trigger when the time comes, and the same on the other side of that.
Yeah.
If being not, if where you want to be is not near your partner's family, and somewhere else because that's making you feel fulfilled in some certain way, and that's a non-negotiable for you. I mean, there is. Look, like I said, there's. If you're speaking about me, is that a non-negotiable for me? No. Like I would be able. We've moved to Florida. Like we've. You know what I mean? We've done different things in our life that we discussed and we came to compromises. We were usually aligned on them. But I'm saying if you wanted to move somewhere, I'm not like so grounded in where I am.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. I was like, what if I woke up and I was like, okay, this is what I want. I really want to live here.
Yeah.
I think this is.
If it made sense from, financial and like all the other reasons, if it made sense and we discussed it and went through it, and like, okay, yeah, this could be cool. Or if you explained it to me and I understood it, I'm not like so tied to where I am that I'm like, I need to be here because of X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
Like I'm not at that point in my life, we don't have kids yet or anything like that where I feel like I'm super grounded to where I am. It wouldn't be a non-negotiable for me, but I also can completely understand why it could be for some others. If, living near your family is something that you're like, absolutely, this is the way you see your life. This is a non-negotiable. I I think that you always should try and find compromise. But if a compromise can't be reached between parties, then I think that could absolutely be a deal breaker for sure.
And do you think, like, let's say in a hypothetical world, I want to go move and live to be near so-and-so, and you're like, no, I refuse. Does that mean that you like don't care about me enough, that you don't love me enough?
No, of course not. No, I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think you're like putting one over the other. And I think it's when you're talking about your entire life, I mean, I think these things matter, you know. I think if something like that is a non-negotiable to you, yeah, I don't see it so black and white of like not loving a person, you know. Do you?
No, but I find a lot of women do.
Yeah.
I find a lot of women equate
like
not getting their way to
like,
their man not caring about them enough to do what they want.
Yeah, like I mean, and another one would be maybe, you know, say you were someone that really, really wanted to have kids, you know, and your partner was like, I absolutely don't want to have kids. It's like, look, no matter how much I love you, if this has become something that's a non-negotiable, and like I'm saying, everyone's setting their terms of what is a non-negotiable for them.
Absolutely.
Like, if I'm speaking for myself, there's not many that are non-negotiables for me. Like, you know, if you said certain things, it's like, okay, yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, but this is easy to say now because our lives are so committed to each other. But what if this was like 10 years ago?
Yeah, that could definitely be a different circumstance for sure.
So like, for example, let's say we had been together for 2 years. We lived together. We loved each other very much.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're in like the height of our, like we were obsessed with each other 2 years in. Not that we aren't anymore, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I all of a sudden tell you that I don't want to have kids.
Yeah, then we'd have to have the discussion. I would want to understand why you didn't. And obviously, yeah, I mean, then I would need to make the call. And I think at that point in my life, I mean, for any point in my life, really, that would have been, you know, something, especially earlier, you know, like obviously now, like you said, our lives are so intertwined, it's different. And I've changed my perspective on certain things as I've got older. But if you had said that right at the offset, I think I would have thought that was a non-negotiable.
Yeah. I agree. That probably might have been honestly the only thing that early in the relationship that would have made me be like, excuse me, if you told me you never wanted to get married, you know what I mean?
Yeah. See, but even that, I think that's not a non-negotiable for you. I think that would have been something that a compromise could have been reached.
I don't think now, but if I think about myself when I was that young and like how enamored I was with the idea of getting a big ring and like having a wedding and saying I was enamored with the wrong things about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have been able to
get past that.
Plus the whole how insecurely attached I was to you. If you were to tell me like, no, we're not getting married, I would have taken that as a sign of you not caring about me enough to commit to me. I would have.
Yeah. I think that discussions could be had there and people could come to an understanding of why I didn't want to get married potentially if that was the case. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if that was something that was a non-negotiable for you, like I don't think that's you saying that you don't love me if you were to leave in that situation. It's not because you just didn't love me, you know? So.
Okay, well, let's segue into the smash or pash.
What was the first one you said too?
Ditch it or fitch it.
Smash or pash.
Smash or
Are you having like a little dyslexia moment here?
Smash.
So wait, no, we got to do ditch it or fix it.
No, but this is too good. Smash or pass marriage.
Oh.
It's funny because I'm almost scared to ask my husband this because...
Look, I'll be completely honest with people. I don't really give a flying fuck about being married. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like something that I was like, and I told this to her, you know, at the time. I really got married because I knew she wanted to get married. And it wasn't like a non-negotiable to me when we're talking about this, that I don't get married.
Yeah.
You know, I was willing to compromise on that because you wanted to. I don't really have any super strong reason, but I also was kind of apathetic about it. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't think that the title had any bearing on my commitment. So I didn't really see the value in it other than it just being like I said, you were just saying, I think that I saw a lot of people doing it for the wrong reasons, you know, because they want the wedding, they want the ring, they want these things that I think aren't like what the actual fundamental like meaning of it is, you know? And the fundamental meaning of it for me was there whether I'm married or not, you know, like that's a commitment that I'm making, you know, between us and verbally, or, you know, that I'm showing you that I think doesn't change because you know, I'm not a religious person. So saying it in front of people or doing it in some ceremony or doing like it really doesn't mean a whole lot to me.
Yeah.
But if it meant something to you, then I'm like, okay, well, I mean, sure. I'm not going to fight you on it. I don't care that much. So, I mean, if I had to smash or pass, I mean, I'm pretty neutral on it. Like if it was just me and my partner didn't care, I mean, it would be a pass. Like, I don't really care, you know, like I don't care to get married. I mean, I don't mind not being married. It's not like I would feel unfulfilled in any way. But like you said, if my partner wanted to get married, then it's like, okay, sure. You know?
Yeah. It's interesting to me because I hear you and I obviously believe you, but then I also think about if we were never to get married and I didn't push it on you, I feel like you would still do it.
What do you mean?
Like, let's say I was quite pushy. I was very clear that I wanted to get engaged. I wanted to get married. Okay. Let's say I was not like that. I was a woman.
Then we wouldn't have ended up married.
I kind of feel like you would have proposed to me. I do.
Wait. I would have if I knew that is what you wanted.
Yeah, but
whether you weren't pushing it or not.
If let's say I never talked about it. Let's say I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, but that would be so weird, like to have a relationship with someone for that long and never talk about if they want to be married or not. Like that would be.
There's some women that probably just don't care either way and wouldn't talk about it.
Well, and then if I didn't care either way, then we might have just gone forever and not got married.
I know, but I don't think that.
Why?
I just feel like you like to initiate things, and you were proud to propose, and I feel like it'd be something you want to do. Maybe I'm wrong. You obviously know yourself better than I know you, but I do think if we had been together for whatever 10 plus years and now we're thinking about having kids, you would initiate the process.
I don't think I would have unless there was a conversation that like if we had discussed wanting to get married at some point and like that being something that we wanted in our life. If there'd been, and the thing is, I don't think we have to base things in the realm of realism. And I don't think that there's ever a situation where you get to that point where the conversation's never been broached. Yeah, you know, like if people are getting married, they've generally talked about marriage before. If they want to be married in their life,
understand.
So like we need to base in reality. And I think if I had,
these are all hypothetical.
No, but I'm saying like if I'd had that conversation with someone and they had said that they don't really care, and I'd said I don't really care, but then yeah, I probably wouldn't have ever initiated it.
Interesting.
But I think if they gave any inkling that they did want to, then I probably would have, because like I said, I wasn't like so convicted in not wanting to get married in any way, you know?
Yeah, I just think that it gave you a lot of pride and fulfillment to do it.
Well, it gave me a lot of pride and fulfillment because I knew you wanted it. So I felt prideful in giving you something that you want and making you happy and all these things, and that makes me feel good. But I wasn't prideful in the fact that we were getting engaged, that we were getting married. It wasn't like in the idea of what was about to happen or where it was leading. Like, yeah, that's all great. And you know, I'm happy we're married. Sure. I mean, it's not, but it didn't change anything from my regard that I would have done it without knowing that you wanted it.
Yeah. And listen, I understand the whole argument that it doesn't really actually mean anything. And it's like a societal pressure that's not actually real. I totally get that. But I kind of push back because there is something, we do get pride from societal norms. So if I'm going to say like, yeah, we just got married, or yeah, this is my husband, like that emotes a feeling in me that I wouldn't be able to have if we never got married.
To you, sure.
I feel like you're like, if you were still calling me your partner or your girlfriend instead of your wife.
I mean, I could just call you my wife and we didn't actually get married or get engaged. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like,
well, then if someone's like, oh, you guys are married, when did you get married? You would lie?
Well, depends, I guess. I mean, yeah.
Like, what if you're like, oh yeah, my wife this, oh my God, I didn't know you guys got married. When did you guys get married?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
It's just interesting when you actually think about the nuances of it all, because it's so easy to say like, yeah, la, la, la. And I think about this with like my best friend and her partner who have a child and they live together, but they're not married, and he doesn't care either way. And she does care, but well,
that's not true. He does care either way.
Well, yeah, because he's not doing it.
But I think he's expressed at some points that he doesn't necessarily want to, where I never expressed that I didn't want to.
No, you didn't.
I was kind of like, look, if my partner wants to, I'm willing to, but I also am not like someone that, like I said, I'm not someone that I'm like, I really want to get married.
Yeah.
Like, this is something in my life where I'm like, I really want to be married and call myself a husband. And like, it's not really something like you're thinking about it and you're saying that. And it's like, you know, there's, it emotes something to societal pressures and saying that's my wife and these things. You thought about that. I never even thought about that. So it's like you are thinking about these things because those are things that would make you feel good and feel fulfilled. I never even had those thoughts.
Yeah.
Of like, I want to say these things or I want to do these things. It's like, I want to have the relationship with you and I want that to be good and healthy and all these things. And I want to be committed to you for life and all these kind of things. But I don't need to get married to do any of those, you know? So like, I completely understand with what you're saying and I don't disagree. I mean,
I always get curious too, because obviously there's differences here. Like my parents are still married, your parents are not. Like sometimes I wonder,
and I'm sure that
like
has bearing.
What plays into it. But then it's complicated because I'm like, well, listen, my parents love each other so much and that's great. But like, I never grew up wanting a marriage just like my parents' marriage.
Sure.
So it's like, I don't know. I guess different people,
Neither.
different. No shit.
No, but I mean, it's, I don't, maybe that had some bearing on it. But like I said, I think there would also be a lot of people that, you know, have been children of divorce that would
want to get married.
Would want to, or go the complete opposite of never want to.
Yeah.
And be like, this is now a non-negotiable for me. Like I saw what it did to my family and blah, blah, blah. I'm never putting myself in that position. You know?
Well, yeah.
Versus like I said, I was like,
if you saw someone get,
I mean, mine was really just more from a whimsical standpoint of like, I don't need it to change anything or it doesn't mean anything to me any more than something I can't create meaning for myself.
It doesn't change the way you feel about me and it doesn't change the way.
No, but like I said, if you really wanted that, I mean, and yeah, I obviously had a lot of pride and I knew that was something you wanted and you wanted to have a nice wedding and all these things and blah, blah, blah. And okay, cool. Great. I mean, you know, if you said you didn't, I would have been equally as, you know, I would have been equally as fine on the other side.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have fought you for it and be like, I want to get married. If you said you didn't want to get married, I'd be like, okay, cool. No problem.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I was kind of neutral in the middle where if my partner wanted, great. If they didn't, great. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Ditch it or fix it. Putting the toilet paper on the wrong way.
Oh, ditch it all day. Yeah. No, that's a fix it. I mean, I think you could definitely.
What if someone never changed though?
Oh, that's so easy to fix though.
This is the conversation.
Yeah.
Because like.
Well, I would have to have the conversation with them of. It, like, look, it doesn't actually matter. And like, I could just flop it around. So I'm just being kind of silly. It's definitely not something I would ever ditch a relationship for, but it's like.
What if it's something that really bothers you and you ask your partner to it's a simple thing, just put it on the right way and they just refuse to do it?
That's what I'm trying to get around to. So it's like, but okay, this is the thing. They're saying, I don't want to and I refuse to, or they're saying, oh, I'm sorry, I just keep forgetting.
I just always forget.
See, if they always forget, then I would, you know, challenge them to be a little more mindful of something that I've obviously brought up. That.
And what if they're not?
Yeah, I mean, there would be a point where I would just let it go and I would just like make jokes about it. Like it's not that big of a deal, you know?
Okay. Yeah. So cleaning up after yourself.
Like my partner cleaning up after themselves? Yeah,
like let's say I left dirty dishes, I left clothes on the floor, I left like
who are you speaking about?
My shit everywhere. No, this was a conversation.
I'm not that dirty. I think I'm pretty clean.
I'm not talking about you.
We just had the conversation about my clothes on the floor, and then you said that. That's why.
It's funny because, like, I am well aware of my luckiness, my, like, how grateful I am to have you.
Sure.
So, like, listen, I can complain that, like, you don't always hit the hamper.
Yeah.
But the clothes are in the closet.
Sure.
I've seen a lot of other shit that, like, I know I am very lucky to have a husband that puts effort into what matters to me.
Yeah, I guess this goes back to what we were just talking about the toilet paper roll. See, at least the thing is you'll tell me, I don't like when you do this. And I always try and make a conscious effort. And I do usually do pretty good with it. Like,
so let's say I tell you and you don't.
Well, then that's for you to decide.
Do you believe in the term weaponized incompetence?
Yeah, I definitely understand the concept, and I think it's hard because like I don't think these things are like relationship breaking things. You know, I think it matters on the context of what the thing is. I think if we're talking about toilet paper rolls, then it's like, who really cares? It's like they're forgetting, they've done it their whole life, you know, whatever. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, even though, yes, it's annoying and you're asking them and they're not making an effort. And I do get that and it would frustrate me, but it's also not something that I'm like, I'm going to leave my wife over not changing.
No, because this is what we're talking about.
But I think context matters.
This isn't unless you have like mental health OCD issues, it's not really going to affect your day. Right. But things that will affect, especially a woman's day that takes care of the house, is if a man leaves his shit everywhere. So this is my question. Yeah. Let's say you've had the conversation with your husband. You say, listen, I clean a lot. And it really makes me feel disrespected when I clean the kitchen. And then you come in an hour later and cook and make a mess and leave it all there and just expect me to come back and
I would understand that'd be very upsetting for sure.
Now, let's say that you've had that conversation and the man never changes. Ditch it or fix it.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I mean, there's two sides to this. At some point, you just come to a level of acceptance and say, okay, well, I'm going to just clean this up. And that kind of is what it is, which I think can be an unhealthy route as well, because then I think that person could
create resentment.
Yeah, create resentment. And the person on the other side could just like start to take advantage of it. Yeah. So I think that's slippery. I think there will be a point that if that continues, that there has to have a very serious conversation to have. It's like, I'm going to fucking leave you if you don't change this.
Yeah.
You know, like I've asked you, and now it's not even about the actual act. It's about
how I feel about you.
And it's about that. It seems like there's a blatant disregard for my feelings, and your lack of action is indicative of that at some point. You know.
Yes.
So I think then it becomes a whole different thing. It's not actually about changing the toilet paper roll or changing, you know, or cleaning up your dishes. It's about something more than that. Yeah. You know, and I think if it gets to that, then I think, yeah, you do have a conversation. Then I think that absolutely could get to a point where it's a ditch it, not fix it. So I think I also think it depends on the thing. Like I think there is different things that do have a different weight. I don't think you can kind of paint everything with the same brush, the toilet paper roll.
Everyone though has different weights for different things.
Everyone does. And I think you can know that and decide those for yourself.
And listen, you know? The reason why
there's things like, you know, small things that I do, I'm sure, and then, you know, small things that you do that I make jokes about, you know, like leave the shaker bottles or things. And like, you could continue to do that forever and I'll make jokes about it, but it's not like something that I'm going to like eventually be like, hey, like if you don't actually start fixing this, I've told you 10 times over the years, you still do it. Like I'm going to leave you over. Like it's not that serious.
No, but
so there is levels to this.
This is like, I have like kind of gauges for this. And I try to be a pretty like self-aware person. But I notice sometimes in other people's relationships, you'll kind of see them make like snide comments or like rude remarks about their partner.
Sure, yeah, I don't.
And to me, when I see that, because I would never do that. I'm like, oh, you have let something go too long, and now you have created resentment that's pouring out in inappropriate ways.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that's like one gauge for me. Another gauge for me is like, I'm all about picking my battles. So like if I see the laundry, for example, and Ian's socks are like inside out on the floor and I have to uninside out them and put them in the hamper so they're cleaned properly. Like, is that annoying? Yes. But because of everything else that you do in terms of keeping the kitchen clean and the things that actually really matter to me.
It's not like a full spectrum.
I choose my battle. I just fix it and put it in the thing. And when that starts to become annoying to me, those little things, I know that there's something that I haven't addressed elsewhere that's making me angry about little things that don't actually matter,
I agree with that.
You know?
And I think that's an important point to note too. It's like, it matters if this is like a commonality amongst the relationship.
Exactly.
You know, if this is like where there's a blatant disregard for your feelings and there's lack of effort in everything.
Yeah.
Or is it like just one thing and they're actually trying really hard on a million other things, you know? Like it's like...
Effort matters.
Effort matters in its totality, you know?
In its totality.
Yeah.
Or like, the things that actually matter are like remembering to feed the dogs. And like, you can also tell if someone actually forgot to do something or if they just like, don't give a fuck because they know you're going to do it anyways, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Ditch it or fix it. your partner stops taking care of their physical appearance.
Like what? Give me an example of that. Like, what does that mean? Is that like?
I mean, I've done it. Like, let's.
Well, then obviously it's not a ditch it. So I mean, we kind of answered the question right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it depends what that means. Is that like not getting your nails done, or like is that like let's say shaving your armpits?
Yeah,
like,
let's say you start dating someone. They go to the gym. They take care of their body. They they get ready. Like they're, you know what I mean. And
I have a pretty simple answer to this.
And then all of a sudden it stops.
Yeah, I actually don't care. I care about the behavior and the mental aspect that's usually coming alongside that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a more dangerous thing. I think usually when people are letting those things go, it's because of something else.
Yeah.
They're feeling a certain way about themselves. Yeah, they're depressed or something else is going on that they're really not. You know, they've kind of given up that like wanting to try. Yeah. You know? I don't think it's usually because they're like, I just don't care about how I look anymore in a very authentic way of actually not caring. I think it's more like, yeah, it's a depression or something like that that's setting in where they start to let these things that they usually did enjoy doing go the wayside.
Do you think
they're feeling a lack of energy there?
The same for men though? Because like I think I know a lot of my girlfriends that, especially because like let's say you meet your husband when you're in your early 20s, it's pretty easy for a man to like be in decent shape then. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like most guys when they're at that age, they're fit, they're healthy, they shave, they whatever. And I think men can have kids and get into their career and they stop going to the gym. They're getting older, so they get a little bit of a belly. Sure. They stop shaving. That doesn't always have to be indicative of like mental health. So let's say everything else is the same, but now your husband has gained 50 pounds and just doesn't really care.
I mean, I don't care. So to me, that's a fix it. Like I don't really.
Do you think I would care?
I think if my mental health, like
no, not. I just gave you this scenario.
Not really. No.
Yeah. Interesting.
You would? No, I'm fucking pissed. No,
I wouldn't at all.
Yeah,
but,
I don't think.
But I need to be really cognizant of when I answer that I know this would never happen, and that I have a husband that has like the nicest body of anyone that I'm around. So I can say this and be like, no, I wouldn't care. But I do like know that some of my girlfriends that are not very vain, they're like very loving people. Sometimes they're all like, oh yeah, like I kind of miss that. Mm-hmm. So maybe I say I wouldn't care, but I actually would. I don't really know. It's hard to like talk about this and give such an honest answer.
Well, you're answering for yourself. That's all.
No, I know, but I'm just guessing because maybe if Ian did get fat and like started to like not shave and not take it, maybe I probably would be like, hey. Like,
yeah. Well, look, I think with anything, they're not so black and white. I think there is a point where that would probably cross a line, you know? Like if I became so fat that I couldn't stand and I needed like a wheelchair and like,
that's
then
extreme.
Then there's obviously things that happen, you know? But then again, I don't think a normal person never lets themselves get to that point willingly.
Yeah. When they're mentally well.
Yeah. I think if you're someone that's been in okay shape at some point and you let yourself get to be 500 pounds, there is a mental health reason behind it.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, well, I don't really care anymore. It's like I said before, we need to speak in the realm of reality, and that's not reality.
Yeah, something happened, you're not happy anymore, whatever.
You must be able to hear bee snoring.
No, there's no way. Okay. We're going to move on to smash or pass.
Okay.
Read receipts. Smash or pass.
Pass. Fuck that. That's wild. I don't like that.
You don't like people knowing when you read their message, eh?
No, because I think it puts the precedent that you should respond immediately of reading a message, and I don't think that's like. See I don't expect anyone to look. I know there's people that I message and they don't respond immediately, and I'm completely okay with that.
And what about
respond when you're ready?
Even with your wife, pass.
Well, we've never had them on.
I think yours are on.
No, mine are on for you. Yours aren't on for me.
Yeah, you turned yours on.
Like you can tell when I've read it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, but I don't even know. But it's yours aren't on for me.
No.
So I don't know. I don't care. I didn't even know really if you can read or like I don't care. But I also don't feel the pressure that if you've seen I've read it and I don't respond immediately, I don't feel like I'm going to get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like worried that like, oh shit, I didn't respond. She can see that I respond. Like I would never think that.
Yeah.
Like I literally don't care. Like,
You guys, our marriages, our answers are going to be so boring because we don't really have any like drama about this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
But like, look, I don't think.
I mean, you used to get annoyed when I wouldn't answer you, though, for sure. I remember sometimes that like you would get like aggravated for sure if hours went by and I didn't answer you.
Yeah, it depends on what the context was.
Yeah.
You know, like if it was something that like I kind of needed an answer for, like, you know, I was trying to plan something and like I knew you had your phone, you were just like weren't answering, then like maybe I would get. But I also know as time went on,
you started to learn my patterns.
I like learn your patterns, and like I know that like when you're home, you literally will like have your phone like on the counter and you'll never even touch it.
Yeah.
So like then I'm like, okay, well she's not even checking, so I can't really be mad about it.
Even if I'm not home, like a lot of times, like my phone is not near me.
Exactly.
Whereas you're the opposite.
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, you know. And like I said, I don't really care that much for anybody. Within the realm of realism, like if you don't answer me for 4 days, like then I think it's becoming rude. It also
depends on how the relationship is.
But I think, yeah, exactly. You know, but like your brother, if I text him and I know he's really busy and he takes 6 hours or a day to answer me, I'm not like sitting there like he read it, you didn't answer me. I mean, like which we don't have read receipts on, but like I would never care anyways.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't really care about that.
Smash or pass sharing your location?
I don't really care. I mean, I'm not like, it's one of those things that like, if you asked me to share my location, I'd be like, okay, why? You know, like I'm not going anywhere that like I care to try and hide it or think that it's an invasion of privacy. We're together almost 24 hours of the day. You know, we are at home all day. We don't go to offices. Like we go to the gym together most days. It's not a ton of time that we're apart. I mean, other than like when you go do certain stuff on your own. But like, I've never asked to have those.
My location isn't on, guys.
And I wouldn't care for it to be on. So I don't know. I think you just set a dangerous precedent with these things that it's coming from the assumption that deception may be happening. So it's a protection mechanism.
What about people that say that it's for safety purposes?
Sure. I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made there. I mean, if it's for safety purposes and you're being authentic in saying that,
yes.
if you're saying that as a way to deceive because of something that's insecurity based,
nasty.
Yeah, and you just want to know where they are and you don't trust them, then I think that you're doing a nasty thing. If it's literally just for that, but I think if it's not and it's like you just want to know where they are kind of thing, then I think that's something that's not based in the healthiest place, and I think it's something that's based out of mistrust, and I don't like the idea of that. So I think it matters, you know.
Listen, I agree, but I'm someone that like, I don't know if it's how I grew up, but I really, really value respect and privacy. Like, you know that about me.
Yeah.
But there are definitely times, not so much like in Canada, especially where we live, but there were times when we were living in Florida when I'd be like taking an Uber or I'd be somewhere.
Oh, you would send me your location.
That I would start sharing my location just because I felt a bit sketchy.
Yeah.
But in terms of like constantly sharing locations, and I just like think about it, I'm like, we've been on this planet for how long? And we like didn't even have cell phones until like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck is this like now a safety issue that we have to share our location all
I mean, look, the world is safer than it's ever been technically, you know? So, you know, I understand shit still happens, and especially being a woman, I could be, you know, empathetic to that and think that there could be a safety thing in that. But then I guess it comes from the other side. Like, I think this sounds a little sexist, I guess, but there's a case to be made on a man wanting to see a woman's safety. Are you worried that I'm going to get abducted or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the odds are very dramatically different from gender to gender.
I feel like when I was listening to this debate, the girls, first of all the couples had their location shared.
Yeah. And they were saying it was for safety.
They said the men liked it for safety, for sure. That's what they were saying. The women also said in terms of they have like anxieties about their husbands getting in car crashes or like things like that.
Yeah, but if you know,
they also
seeing their location is not going to change that. The accident happened.
They also said they liked, I mean, this girl said that she liked to know like when he was leaving work and like where he was on his route home so she could have dinner heated and like ready by the time he got home.
But you could also just ask them, be like, hey, can you text me every day?
She said she didn't want to have to text him to ask him.
I mean, and then if that's how you want your relationship to operate and you think that's you like to do that and you want it on that, and you're using it only for those reasons, or, you know, being truthful in the reasons why you're using it, then I don't see any problem with that. Yeah. I have no issue with that. I mean, these things are all like specific to each relationship and what is normal in the dynamic of your relationship, and that it's agreed upon by both parties.
Yeah.
I don't think anything is wrong as long as it's agreed upon by both parties and they're being done with honest intentions.
Yeah.
You know, like I think if you're saying it's because of safety and then you're just sitting there looking where they are all day and they're like, what are you doing at that? You know, like, well, I thought you were saying you're going here. Why are you there? Like, that's unhealthy, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean, if you're doing it because of safety, you know, the side of the car accidents or something like that, it's like, that's to me kind of bullshitty, because like the car accident's already happened. So it's like you're not preventing or saving anything. And if you're their partner, you're going to be contacted at some point if they got in an accident anyways, you know? So like, I don't think you're not accomplishing anything. And what are you going to know? Like, it's going to be like, oh, they've been sitting on the road for 12 minutes. There must be an accident. Like, how you know what I mean? So it's like, you're not going to know until you're informed anyways. Yeah. You know, like, you're going to sit and look at it and be like, they've been on the same part of the road for 25 minutes. What's happening here? You're calling them, they don't answer, calling them, they don't answer. I guess you could drive there and then maybe see it's an accident. But at that point, you're getting informed anyways. Yeah. So like, I don't really think it changes anything, you know? So I don't believe the authenticity of that statement. But
yeah.
But I mean, people in the comments, if you have these on, read receipts, read receipts. Do you say read receipts or read receipts?
I say read receipts, but I don't know if that's right.
It's read, like you've read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have those on with your partner, I'd be interested to know why people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's the...
And be honest.
What's
like
the positive reason?
Yeah, be honest. Is it because you just want to know where they are, or is it because you're actually concerned with their safety?
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Or if there's a discrepancy between what you tell your partner and what the reality is, I'd love to know that too.
If someone would ever.
Yeah, admit it anonymously. Make a fake account and tell us.
Smash or pass your husband or your wife being your best friend?
You could tell that she's the one that formulated these. Eh? Like, oh, I want the answers. Smash, I guess. I don't know.
Smash your husband, me being your best friend, pass you being mine.
What do you mean?
I think a girl that doesn't have like best girlfriends, it's a red flag. But I think a guy
Wait. I think I could be your best friend and you also have girl best friends.
But I wouldn't call you my best friend. I would call my best friend my best friend. I would call you my husband.
Look, I wouldn't expect... Yeah, I would never expect someone to say that their partner is their best friend. And like, when you're asked the questions, who is your best friend? Yeah. I think it's different if you're asked, is your partner your best friend, to say yes. But like, when someone's asking you who's your best friend, to not say your partner. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, if someone was to ask me who my best friend was, I wouldn't say you.
No, you wouldn't, because you would
to be honest, I wouldn't even I wouldn't think that way, because that's not how I think with the term best friend.
Well, because I'm your wife.
You're my wife.
Yeah.
So, but can you also be one of my best friends, because you are? You and I are obviously very close friends. Yeah. In a sense as well. So I mean, yes, technically, but I don't like think of it like, oh, Melissa's my best friend. You know?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Okay, last one. Smash or pass having rules around phone time?
That's tough. I guess it depends when and where and what it's impeding. You know, I think if there's like personal time that's being impeded on, that's being sought after because of it. Like, if it's like someone saying like, hey, I'd really like to do this and blah, 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 like, you know, and the person's either not wanting to do it because they want to be on their phone, or they're doing it and being on their phone, then I think that's different. I think other than that, just setting it for like the sake of like, I don't want you to be on your phone so much, I think is like kind of dumb, you know? Yeah. Like, I don't really care if someone's on their phone all day, but if you are on your phone all day and then I ask to do something, then it's like, okay, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't really have, well, no, I do care for sure. I feel like you're pretty cognizant of, okay, we're going out to dinner. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, fuck it, I forgot my phone, who cares? Or, oh, just don't pull out the phone while we're on a date. Like, intentional time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and if we're like, look, I use my phone a lot more than you do, but if we were sitting, and I felt like you wanted to do something, or like we were, you know, it was time we were spending together, or you're like, hey, you want to watch a movie or something, I'm going to say yes. I'm not going to not do it or be not present and be on my phone because of
I
it.
also like, listen, this rarely happens, but like, let's say we are having a conversation and I feel like the automatic scrolling the phone or you texting while I'm speaking is happening because that it's not, I don't find it disrespectful. I just find it's become very habitual for humans to do. If I do see you doing that and I'm like, hey, can you put that down? Like until I'm done talking, you're not defensive. You're just like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm sorry.
Probably wasn't listening.
And like, that makes me feel okay. Whereas if like, I think a lot of women, especially if they say that to their husband, they get like defensive. They're like, I can do both at the same time, or like, don't tell me what to do. And then like it's like annoying. Like that's
I
rude.
obviously always try and be mindful. If I feel like it's something that needs my attention completely directed at it, then I'll generally. But if I'm not,
a lot of women are going to argue like, if I'm speaking to you, your attention should be completely directed to me.
Yeah, and in certain cases, I don't disagree. I think it's like if I was sitting on the couch, doing something on my phone, and you were in the kitchen and asked me a question about what I wanted to eat, I could answer it while still looking at my phone.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, but I
like,
think if you're having an actual conversation, then I think your phone should probably go down.
Yeah, the only thing that I think about, and that's probably because the stage we are at in life, is when we have kids. Because I definitely don't want
you don't want them to see that.
young kids to see parents on phones, because I just
I
find
think
that
you also have a lot less opportunity to be on phones when you have kids around. It's a little
not
different.
the husband. I see. Trust me, I see a lot of women with babies that have husbands that are sitting on the phone.
I'm sure it happens. I'm sure it happens on both sides. It's not like
probably. But I don't want my kid to be enamored by this thing because they see their parents doing it all the time,
I agree with that.
I don't want this to be some cool thing that they think they want to be around.
I get that.
Okay, fun. Now we're doing Reddit. Are you ready?
Yeah, do you want to go first?
You can go first.
I got some too.
Because I feel like I've been asking you questions for...
Well, it's your podcast.
Yeah, but it's not actually. Like when we come on...
Okay, I got one here. You ready?
Okay.
21-year-old female. This is am I the asshole kind of thing,
Oh, mine's not. Am I the asshole too?
Well, I have a couple, but 21-year-old female with a 22-year-old male, and I get disgusted every time he sends me nudes. How can I tell him I don't like that all the time without him getting offended?
Is that her boyfriend?
Yeah. So it says, we've been dating for a year now, but I still find it weird when things get sexual. And this is his love language. Like whenever he wants to show me how much he loves me, he'll always tell me that I'm pretty and have a nice body, and it makes me sick. Sometimes when we are chatting normally, he thinks it's okay to send me a picture of his dick. And I was in a state of shock. We weren't even sexting or talking about anything sexual. I don't know why, but these things really make me uncomfortable. I told him before that when he tells me that he loves me, it doesn't make me feel loved. It makes me feel more if he mentions things that are not physical, like my brain, the way I work, etc. But he keeps doing that. And the dick pic thing was horrible. I didn't feel anything other than being disgusted or shocked. How should I tell him that I don't like this without him being offended?
I think she needs to see a therapist if she has sexual trauma.
Yeah, there sounds like there's some sexual trauma there. Like that she's really uncomfortable with sexuality in that regard. Yeah. I'd be interested to know what their
sex life is like.
Yeah, it's like, does she feel that way in sex, or is it just like the conversation of sex? Like things that are like sexual in nature and conversation, she's completely fine being intimate like in person. I don't know. I don't know. But obviously she isn't, because like even him saying in person that she's pretty, it's like, or that he likes her body. I understand where she's coming from, being like, can it be about personal things? But it's like saying one doesn't negate the other. He can say these things. It doesn't mean that he doesn't think the other things. It's like, it's just a comment he's making,
I also think sometimes when guys have been like rejected a lot by their partners, their advances start to become a bit more like random and like out of left field because they feel awkward and they're worried about rejection. So when she's like, oh, we weren't even sexting and then this random dick pic came in, like, well, maybe he actually doesn't know how to come on to you anymore because he can tell that you're repulsed by his sexual advances. Yeah. And like you're choosing to be in an intimate relationship with someone, you need to take some responsibility and figure out why you feel like that. Yeah. Because like, I mean, yes, you are the asshole here.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think that's pretty bad. Let me see what the comments say.
Because that's, I think, and I'm not trying to shame her for being.
These people are saying you're adults. You can simply say I'm not into nudes. Can you not send them without it being a fight?
Oh God! Of course, here we go with this like protection, like Me Too movement bullshit, though. That's what this is.
Yeah, I don't.
This is your boyfriend. This isn't a predator.
I think it's okay to say that if it's something you really don't like, but I think then it's still the onus is on you to explore why you don't like them. Like, one, do you find them gross in a way that seeing them naked is unattractive to you?
She's saying way more than that she doesn't want dick pics, though. If she was just saying, I don't want dick pics, I understand. Honestly, dick pics aren't really, as a woman, they don't really do anything for us.
Sure.
She said way more than that. And I think that's why you're getting random dick pics.
Yeah.
Because this is a safe way for him to come on to you. Because you've probably rejected him because you feel repulsed sexually with your literal sexual partner.
Yeah. No, I think there's definitely some self-exploration that needs to happen there into like why you're feeling this way. Is this just something that with this partner is just a commonality you've had with other partners before? Like, you know, with other people, if they ever tried to be sexual in their, you know, vocabulary or in pictures or anything like that, did it make you feel the same way?
Yeah.
Or is it something that you're maybe feeling specifically towards this partner? Because I think that is important.
Yeah.
You know, if it's just something towards this partner, then I mean, there's an issue here, obviously, and you need to explore why you feel that way towards them.
Not attracted.
Yeah, and if it's something that is a commonality, well, then it's obviously something a little deeper rooted, and I would probably choose to explore where that came from. You know.
Yeah, because like I mean, I'm sure everyone has had issues, especially women, with their sexuality, and like it usually is something that like you need to kind of explore and work on, because on the other side of that is like, I mean, what sex is supposed to be, which is good, you know, like it's not supposed to be repulsive.
Yeah.
But I do understand, like, listen, dick pics aren't like.
No, and if it was just saying she didn't like dick pics, then I agree with you. But I think then just say the conversation, be like, look, I really don't like these and blah, 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 and whatever. And if that's all it is, but if,
and please don't send them out of the blue, because I might open it and someone might see it.
If anything else sexual in conversation, or like, you know, like you said, when we sex or anything like that, it makes me feel uncomfortable. If he says that my body's hot or whatever, it makes me uncomfortable. Like, I mean, she literally said something.
She said if he calls her pretty and says that he loves her body, that she gets literally repulsed.
I was saying, like, we weren't even talking about these. I don't know why these things really make me uncomfortable. I told him before.
And then she said, I don't know why these things really make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like, whenever he wants to show me how much he loves me, have a nice body. Yeah, I mean, she is saying two pretty specific things, I guess. Like, she's just saying that not liking that he only compliments her body and the dick pic specifically. So, I mean, those could just be two.
Okay, so
if it's just the body thing, then obviously there's some kind of way she's feeling a little insecurity in that.
He doesn't respect her personality.
Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
Or value.
Yeah, value that thing, which I think you need to be careful with trying to blur the lines of like things. You know what I mean? Like like I said, it can be both. Like just saying one thing doesn't say that I don't think the others. You know, and for him, obviously, maybe
there is something that he has done though, or that he continuously does do that does make her feel like he only likes her for her sexuality, and then that make her feel a little bit sensitive.
Yeah, I also think there is some onus on the guy here too, because if she's telling him, like, I don't like it when you only say things about this, and it would make me feel good if you complimented other things about my personality once in a while, and he doesn't make a conscious effort to do so, I could see that being upsetting. You know. Like, you know, you want to feel like you're more, but I also think you need to understand why it's making you feel that way in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I said, it doesn't necessarily, if you said a compliment to me all the time of one thing you liked about me and say it was physical, but you never said anything else about me, I wouldn't necessarily extrapolate it being like, does she not think these? It's like, well, you can.
But I do we're very emotionally connected. I make you feel very seen. So there's I would say either there's some like sexual like trauma.
Yeah.
Or the relationship is lacking a bit of depth and it's purely physical, and that's making you almost resentful towards that.
Sure.
So I don't know which one it is, but either way, like you need to figure it out, because you're not supposed to be turned off by your partner.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, you got one?
Yeah, mine is, am I the asshole too? Am I the asshole for not canceling my guy's trip? I, 35 male, and my wife, 31 female, recently began construction on a new home. Thankfully, everything has gone smoothly, and we are nearing the completion date on the home. Our closing date is set, and we are scheduled to get the keys to the brand new house in the next couple weeks. Unfortunately, I have a scheduled vacation on the date of our closing date. The trip of mine is a guy's trip that is annual. Every year, the guys and I rent a cabin and spend Wednesday to Sunday board gaming. Our closing day falls on the Friday of my trip. What I plan to do is drive home to complete the closing, sign all the paperwork, and then drive back to join my group. The rest of the trip was well planned in advance, way before we had our closing date. Here's the issue. My wife wants me to go on the trip Wednesday to Friday and then cancel the rest of the vacation and not return to the group. She wants me to be present for the move-in. Just so you know, I have also arranged for TVs to be hung, mirrors to be hung, curtains to be hung, internet to be installed, etc. All of this is scheduled. My wife is still very angry that I won't cancel my trip, and I think it's unreasonable for her to ask me to cancel. Of course, it sucks our closing was scheduled in the middle of the trip, but that isn't something I could help. Am I the asshole?
Yeah, no, I don't think it matters. I wouldn't care, and I know you wouldn't either, to be honest. I mean, if it was like other things were arranged, it's like you're just going to be in the house and movers are going to be dropping stuff. They're going to be hanging the stuff up, and I'll be back in 2 days. It's like, who fucking cares? You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. If my husband planned all of that and coordinated and paid for all of that in advance. Shows effort. Yeah.
I mean, he could have been doing that. He could have been doing that whether he was going to be there or not, and that's just like how he chose to
either way
conduct his move. But I think
that's even a rarity
I would
in
understand.
A man to have that.
I understand if he was well, that's a financial thing. But I think if he was
and a planning and scheduling.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also a lot of men that would like to do those things themselves. Maybe. That would like to hang the TVs, and they want to do this, and they don't want to spend money on that.
Yeah, but
so it's
he's
both
not
sides.
Going to be there, so that's a moot
yeah.
point.
So I think it's not like if he was leaving her to do a bunch of work and being like, you know, you need to do the move without me. My trip was planned, and blah blah blah. Like if she was being stuck doing a lot of laborious things, then I could definitely understand her gripe. But it seems like they have movers, they have people hang up the TVs. The move is on Friday. He's back on Sunday. I don't really see it as an issue.
I also I want to understand. Let's say you don't want to unpack without your husband, which
just leave it 2 days.
To me is a dream. I want to unpack and do the organizing. Sure. I don't want to hang shit. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to move.
No, he's paying someone to do that.
Yeah, and I don't want to move heavy things. There's movers.
Movers are done.
That's fine. Yeah. I would love to be alone in my house
just
and do
unpack.
that.
Yeah.
But let's say you're a woman that doesn't want to. Why can't you just sleep on a mattress for 2 days and wait till your husband is back on Sunday?
Yeah. I mean, you could also, if the thing it was that you didn't want to sleep on a mattress and you wanted the bed put together, well, then I would say the easy compromise is, since the husband's already paying for a bunch of these things, like, would you mind just paying someone to put together the bed frame? Which is, I mean, we've had people do that when we've moved, you know. Would you have someone put together the bed frame? She can sleep on a bed. The rest of the boxes, you know, stuff that she wants to unpack, she can. If she doesn't want to, she can wait till he's back. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. 2 days in the life of a move that's going to take a while to really get situated and unpacked is nothing. So
should we read some comments from some women?
Sure.
You're the asshole.
Yeah.
She is asking for a compromise, not for you to cancel the trip entirely. Moving into the house you had built together is a big deal. You say your trip is something you love and is important to you. How important is your wife, and how much do you love her? This is setting the tone for how you prioritize her in the future. It is not about the details of setting up the house. Then, right? ? Could you imagine building a house with your spouse and having all these dreams of everything that is going to be done in this house, only for you to start the chapter with a fight over board games with friends?
You women listen to too many movies. Books and movies like glamorizing these,
this
like,
so
built
pathetic.
this home in our chapter, and like, it's like, yo, chill the fuck out. It's 2 days of him like not being there. You know, this is a trip he does every year. It's obviously something he looks forward to. Look, the timing is inconvenient, but it's not like he's gone for 2 weeks. He's gotten back 2 days later. Everything else is settled. I don't think it really matters that much. And it's also, you're going to be living in this house for a long time. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's me not like understanding like the sentimentality of like move into a house and it being like, oh my God, we're going to cut the ribbon and move in and I'll carry you across the threshold. Like, you know what I mean? I don't fucking know. Like, it seems ridiculous to me. Like,
here's a man's comment.
Yeah.
You're the asshole. You're prioritizing 2 boys' nights over your wife. She's asking for you to be there for her to start your home together, and instead you're trying to pay people to do it for you. Your friends get together for this trip once a year. You're with your wife every day. Who would you rather piss off? Any real friends would understand. Hey, I'm closing on my house in the middle of this trip. I need to be with my wife to move in. If they don't understand, they don't have functional relationships.
Okay. This actually gives me a bit more context to it in the sense that I was thinking of it in the way of that, I guess, in our relationship, and that you would never care in the first place. But if it was something that you like really said you cared about, then yeah, I probably would not go on my trip.
I know you wouldn't.
Yeah. So like, I get it. So maybe in this sense.
But that's also probably why I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know if I told you this matters to me, you would do it. But that's why I don't.
If it was something that was an annual trip and I'm still get to go for a few days, like, look, I obviously wouldn't want to miss the trip, and I would obviously try and have the discussion with you. But if it was like something that obviously you were feeling a lot more convicted in than me, and I still went to go, even though I know it was upsetting you, then I do agree in the sense that the guy is the asshole. I guess where we were both probably speaking to in the beginning is
personal.
Well, no, is the girl caring in the first place is silly.
Okay, so
she does care. So I guess we're past that. So then, yes, he is the asshole after the fact. I guess we're just saying she's the asshole for caring so much in the first place.
Listen to this comment. You know what? I was going to say not the asshole, but you convinced me. She offered a compromise. You go Wednesday to Friday and then help move. And his counter was, I'll just pay to have it done. Like, moving is not something that is completed by others. Sure, you have others put up the TV and bringing the stuff, but they aren't going to be unpacking the sheets, making the bed, unpacking the dishes. She will be living in a house of boxes for 48 hours or doing it all herself, which seems to be the intent.
Yeah.
The only compromise I would consider in her shoes would be that she also gets to plan a trip, preferably where she goes Friday to Wednesday, and see if he's still as open to her doing that trip when he's alone in the house with unempty boxes for 3 days. If the guy's trip is happening and your wife goes into labor, would you tell her you'll see the baby in a week? Because right now, that's what she's thinking.
Yeah. Look, I get it for sure. I mean, immediately, like I said, my thought process was that it's ridiculous to even care because, like, we wouldn't care.
No.
Like, it's just, like, it's so, like, in the meaning of life, like, I don't really give a shit if you have a trip plan. Like, you want to go for a couple days. I can be fine in the house 2 days alone. It really doesn't matter. I probably just won't unpack, like, it's just, I'll just wait,
Yeah.
And then the movers have, whatever, done the rest. So, I mean, it doesn't make a big difference. But I guess after the fact that now she's saying she did try and come to a compromise. She's still saying you can go, I don't say like you can go because he can do whatever he wants, but she would like him not to go after the move-in date. So yeah, I mean, I guess at this point he is kind of being an asshole because it's like, look, your wife obviously cares, you should be a little more flexible in the compromise here, I think,
What about, let's say you have a guy's trip every year and it's like 3 weeks before my due date and you're flying, like, it's far and you want to go anyways, but I'm like nervous that if you go, I could go into labor while you're there. Would you go?
3 weeks. It's tough. I mean, you really shouldn't be planning anything like that. But this is, like I said, it all depends on the agreement beforehand. If you're saying, I really want you there for, exactly when, and like, obviously I want to be there too, then yeah, I think you should probably not plan trips within that like 2 to 4 weeks around a birth.
And what if you're like, oh, don't be silly, like, it's 3 weeks, like, there's no way you'll go into labor early.
I mean, the odds are that you probably won't.
Yeah, but let's say you
but if you do, you would probably regret it. So I wouldn't make that gamble of potentially regretting it. And also, like, it's hard for me because when people have these conversations, there's nothing that I'm like, maybe this is a me thing, that I'm like so convicted and like so like passionate about doing in my like extracurricular life that I'm like, you know what I mean? It's like a guy's trip to Vegas. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. It's fun. But like, I don't care that much to miss it. You know what I mean?
But babe, that's because I'm literally your biggest priority.
Well, geez, no.
I am.
You're
mine too.
Sure. Yeah, no, you definitely are. But it's also like.
But a lot of men aren't like that. A lot of men do really value golf every Sunday and like these things.
Well, you can value those things, but I think you also need to have your priorities aligned a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, look, I probably wouldn't be traveling within those weeks. If I really had to, say it was a work thing and it's like, a couple of days, I would obviously try and return as fast as I possibly could. Yeah, because even if you have to fly for an event like that, and if you say like, the second you go into labor, call me and I'll hop on a plane, it's like you're probably still going to miss it. So
what if you're qualified for the Olympia and I'm due like 2 days after the Olympia?
Well, I'm not. I think at that point, though, we would come to the compromise that you wouldn't want me to miss the Olympia. You wouldn't.
Rather than the birth of your child?
If I had qualified for the Olympia, I think you would want me to do it. And then I think I would just, the second it's done, if you hadn't gone to labor yet, get back there as soon as I possibly could. You would want me to miss it?
I would want you to want to miss it, which is awful.
That's tough, yeah.
And because I would want you to want to miss it, I would leave the decision up to you, and I truly would be okay with anything, but I still have to be honest with myself that I would want you to miss it, especially if it was our first child. Listen, if it was our second and like whatever, but if it was our first and maybe our only, I think the idea of me going through labor, like birthing our child without you there, and it might be the only time I do it, it would hurt my feelings. It really would.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't extrapolate you making that decision to you not caring.
I guess
about us.
the only reason I'm like, I think when you're talking about career things like that, it's important that the monetary value that comes alongside them. And I'm not saying that the money isn't more important.
We're fine without you winning money.
Sure,
from the Olympia.
But I think like if say if you're Derek Lunsford and the potential of you missing this could be a loss of $400,000, like that's a serious decision you have to make, because that's something that's impacting the life of your entire family versus missing that potentially. We're not even saying indefinite. So it gets to be a tough situation. I think that money isn't everything, but I think when you're talking about like security in the life of a child and bring them into the world, I think that these things, it's tough. But I also think you would have known beforehand, because like you would have started prep already and your due date and all those kind of things. So I don't know. And also I guess it depends. Is this your first Olympia? Is it your last Olympia? Like, you're never going to do another one after this. Is it your very first one? You'll probably do more. Like you said, is it your first kid? Is it your third kid? Where are you in there? Are you going to be coming 17th, or are you fighting for a win? I think details matter. Context
does matter. And it also matters how you guys communicate together about it. Because if you have like anything we talk about, we kind of always feel like we care about the other person's interests as well as our own. You know what I mean? So like if you're like, babe, this is a really hard decision for me, but this could be my last Olympia, like this.
We would have the conversation.
Like it would feel safe. And if I ended up disappointed, we would be okay either way.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that person that if
there's so much finiteness to it.
Yeah. If I have to deal with disappointment, I'm going to extrapolate this to like, how dare you don't love me?
Sure.
I'm going to tell you this disappoints me, but I understand. And like,
yeah,
let's figure out how to do this in whatever way we can.
It's tough because I obviously know like having a child is a huge thing and you want to be there and all those things. So it's tough. I mean, I think it is a more important thing in the scheme of a life to be there for the birth of your child. But I don't think it is such a black and white decision of like, it's more important. You should 100% be there. Like I said, I think that the conversation,
you can't really say that about anything.
The conversation needs to be had. You need to discuss like, okay, what are we potentially giving up here versus, I think it matters, So
yeah.
If you come to the understanding together that it makes more sense to potentially risk missing that and getting back as soon as humanly possible,
yeah,
then I think you should do that. I think if the wife is like, look, I really can't do this by myself. I really need you there. We're fine for money, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. It's your,
yes.
You have 10 more years to compete.
Yes.
Then I think, yeah, I think you got to miss it.
I was just going to say it also probably matters. Does your wife have someone else that can be there?
Yeah.
Because if you're actually the only person in your wife's life that she feels safe enough and comfortable enough,
sure,
that would affect it. Whereas like, okay, she has a sister, she has a brother, she has a mom that she like, that it would be okay. That affects it too.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, queen lovers, I'm tired and hungry. Did you have fun, babe?
Yeah, that was good.
Was it?
Yeah, you playing solitaire?
No.
Oh.
I was just looking.
You get bored, play some solitaire?
After about an hour and a half, I start to kind of like...
I think we're like 80 minutes now, yeah.
Yeah, I start to lose a bit of the mental focus.
We do like 2 hour plus podcasts, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but...
But our conversations all aren't so like serious. Not that this was serious, but like more intellectual. Like thinking about like You know, they're more like do you wipe front to back? You know, like yeah.
That's funny too, though.
Yeah.
The podcast the other night that I was listening to you guys do. I think it was Mike Isertel.
Mike Isertel was on with us.
I was like happy. It made me happy listening to it.
It was a fun one.
I don't know what you guys were talking about, but it was fucking hilarious. Hi, B.
That's nice.
We love you. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. And Ian, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me in our own home, you know. I didn't have to go anywhere. This is great.
I know. We stole the mics from Mike at Nobility, so now we can just sit on our couch. It's very
got this set up
comfortable.
very casual, you know.
Yeah, but we have a lot of fun things coming.
Casual Fridays.
And we're excited to share with you guys and bring you along for life and exciting shit in our lives, you know?
God. Yeah, I gotta eat.
Gotta eat.
Train.
Eat again.
Bye.
Love you guys. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.